Now we're going to find the volume to the nearest cubic inch of a square pyramid with a slant height of 18 and a lateral area of 288 inches squared. So I'm going to write down what I know. The lateral surface area is 288 inches squared. Be careful when writing down S because it's used for total and for lateral. So here's a picture of my pyramid. Here's my square base that's on bottom. And I'm showing my slant height, which starts at the midpoint here of the edge and goes to the apex or vertex. And that distance is 18. Well, I know for lateral surface area, there's actually a formula. S equals 1/2 times perimeter times slant height. I know the surface area is 288. Well, the lateral is. And then I leave the 1/2, and I leave the P for perimeter, and I put in 18 for the lateral, for the slant height. 18 times 1/2 is 9, and then when I divide both sides by 9, I get 32 equals the perimeter. Well, now I know this shape here on the bottom is a square, so I can actually use that to find the side. 4 times the side has to equal 32, so the side has to be 8. This makes it really easy to find the base area, which is marked in yellow. Well, for a square, it's just side times side, or 8 squared, which is 64. Now that I know this is the side, I'm going to go ahead and make a right triangle. You can see the slant height is here. This 4, where did that come from? Well, for the 4, I actually went ahead and did 8, if I can do it, divided by 2. Because it goes to the center. So the 4 is coming from right here to there. And there's an altitude going straight down. It's kind of hard to see. So this is the height, and there's my right triangle. Well, I can use Pythagorean theorem, which is h squared plus 4 squared equals 18 squared. So I take the 2 legs, square them, and then sum them. And I should get the hypotenuse squared. H squared plus 16 equals 324. And then when I subtract 16 from both sides, I get 308. So H is the square root of 308. Okay, so now I have my height, and I'm trying to find the volume. Volume is 1/3 base times height, base area times height. Really should say base area, just so you don't get it confused for just an edge. And so 1/3, my base area is this really simple 64, which is over here. And my height is the square root of 308. Well, I want it to the nearest cubic inch, so that means to the ones place right here. When I substitute all this in my calculator, I get a nice long number, but since it's to the ones place, I look to the number to the right, which is 3. So I just truncate that. That means these go away, and that stays the same, 374 inches cubed. Now for our last example, we're going to find the exact surface area of a cone with height 20 yards and a volume of 1,500 pi yards cubed. If you wanted to know what this was as a decimal, you could just multiply this by 3.14. So it's somewhere between 4,500 and 5,000 cubic yards. So first of all, I'm going to write down what I know. Volume is 1,500 pi yards cubed. By the way, when there's a pi in here and we're dealing with like cones or spheres or cylinders, that's actually to make our life easier to find things like radii. So I know this is the volume, and I draw a picture here, and I know the height is 20. Well, I'm going to use the volume formula for a cone. Volume equals 1/3 times base area times height. Well, the base area for a cone is a circle, so I have pi r squared. And the height for this problem is 20. I went ahead and divided both sides by pi, so the pi goes away. Now, how did I get from here to here? Well, I had that 1/3. That's kind of like dividing by 3. So I multiplied both sides by 3. That made this 4,500, and that just made that 1/3 times 3 is 1. So technically there's a 1 there, but that's simplified. Now I still have that 20, so if I divide both sides by 20, then I get 225 equals r squared. I have to take the square root of both sides, and I find that the radius is 15. Since the radius is 15, I can find that base area, which is right here in the shape of a circle, and that base area is pi r squared, or pi times 15 squared, or 225 pi. Now I'm going to go ahead and draw the right triangle that I get from this shape. And one thing that you can see is I can use the Pythagorean theorem to find the slant height. I know that the radius is 15 and the height is 20. So 20L squared equals 20 squared plus 15 squared. 400 plus 225 is 625. And when I take the square root, I get 25 is the slant height. Now, if you were alert, you might have noticed that this is a Pythagorean triple. If you go 3, 4, 5, 3 here, 4 here, and then 5, what do I have to multiply 3 by to get 15? Well, I have to multiply it by 5. 4 times 5 is 20. So 5 times 5 gave me the 25. So you could have saved yourself a little work if you recognize the Pythagorean triple. Now I'm going to go ahead and find the lateral surface area, which is pi r radius times the slant height. Pi times 15 times 25, I get 375 pi. The total surface area is this lateral plus this base area. So pi rl plus b, and I take, there's the base, I put it in there, and there's lateral, I put it in here. Adding those two, I get 600 pi yards squared. And this is the exact answer. If I actually use 3.14, then I am approximating the answer. So just a quick overview again of this problem. I used volume, since they gave it to me, to find radius. And then I found the base area. Since I knew the radius and the height, I could find the slant height using Pythagorean theorem. Now that I knew the slant height and the radius, I could find the lateral surface area. Since I now have the lateral surface area and the base area, I combine those to get the total surface area.